Right, welcome to Coffee with Marcus and Mark. In this show, we are going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. And today is Friday, August 18th, and stocks are heading for a third losing week. The 10-year Treasury yields hit a 2-year high, and Bitcoin is falling like a rock. So, what's happening here? Will these losses continue? We'll talk about this. We'll show you our positions and then also give you some tips for some new trades if you want. Anyhow, if this is your first time here, I'm Markus Heitkoetter. This super smart guy over there is my head coach, Markus. We're real traders who trade live accounts. So therefore, we got a lot of trading experience, and we're showing you how we trade these crazy markets. So trust me, we know our stuff, and we're not afraid to tell you like it is. So if you're here looking for some honest insights into the fascinating world of trading, you're definitely in the right place. And boy, these markets are crazy. What do you think, Mark?
All over the place, Marcus, and we'll see where we end up today. But down again yesterday. That's 4 days straight. So a little bit of a continued sell-off off of those highs. The Dow looking at its worst week since March.
Yeah, and looking at the 50-day moving average now slicing through this decisively in the S&P 500. The same in the Dow yesterday, going through the 50-day moving average. The Dow was the latest one. The Nasdaq was the first one. I mean, the Nasdaq already did it last week. So all three major indices now below the 50-day moving average. Does this mean we have the next crash coming?
you know, I I think that this pullback was definitely just a matter of time. It and this is good for what we've seen in the market. Pullbacks are healthy. Market, if you look at the or Marcus, if you look at the S&P 500, this pullback gets us back to lows that we had in June, right? So kind of testing those lows, and it gets us right back to highs that we had in August of 2022. So just from a chart perspective, it looks like we're at a resistance level in 2022, support level in June. I think this pullback is definitely healthy, and I think we're going to see some buying from here personally.
Yeah, and I mean, it has been great for us. I mean, August has been great for us for trading, especially with the wheel strategy. We're looking for higher volatility. And talking about volatility, there is the VIX, the volatility index. And this morning, we were at the highest levels that we haven't seen since May. So pretty much all summer levels were at 13, 14. And then we, this morning, actually topped 19 for a moment and pulling back right now to 18. But yeah, it's good. I mean, for us, for premium sellers, it's good to see volatility coming back into the markets.
Yeah, volatility is my friend, and it has been so low. This gets us back to a normal level where it starts to get fun again. And with these spikes, you typically see spikes and then pullbacks, spikes and then pullbacks. But that extra premium is nice, and it's helped out with the wheel strategy this last week or two.
For sure, for sure. And I mean, we talked about it in the intro, also the 10-year yield interest rates are at the highest point where they were, October 2022.
Look at that. Look at that. And I mean, this is just, it kind of goes hand in hand with the drop and everything going on. But two key news items this week: the Fed and the Fed minutes, where the Fed it was a little more hawkish in their tone, meaning that the idea of keeping rates elevated and keeping those rates higher for a longer period to really combat inflation, that was more of the theme. So investors, hoping that the Fed's getting ready to cut rates with inflation being down. But then also the issue of China and contagion risk being brought into the mix this week, something that a little more prevalent this week than previous weeks.
Yeah, because you remember in 2021 when we talked about Evergrande, this Chinese developer that was getting ready to clear bankruptcy and they were in trouble. Well, look at this. As of yesterday or this morning, they are now filing for bankruptcy protection in the Manhattan court here. And I mean, this just shows it's all interconnected, right? I mean, so they defaulted in 2021, announced an offshore debt restructuring program in March, but now basically filing for bankruptcy protection here in the US.
Sure, and so the concern or question is how much does that carry over into other markets? And the we have a global economy, period,
Yeah.
these these days. So it's something to be mindful of, but I think also just a case for taking some profits, right? Maybe repositioning yourself, and that's where the pullback here I think was warranted. It was just a matter of what news is going to drive the pullback.
Right. So interestingly enough, if you look at the probability that traders are factoring in for a rate increase at the next Fed meeting, it's only 9.5%. So that's kind of in contrast to what we are seeing in the markets here. But traders do not believe that the Fed will raise rates again.
And I think that traders are right. I don't believe that the Fed will raise, but for the last year, traders have tried to fight the Fed and basically said, they're not going to do it. They're not going to raise. And, we had this huge rate hiking campaign. So we'll see. But I would agree with these probabilities. Not only is it priced in that they're not going to raise, I think that they're going to stay put.
Yeah. However, still 33 days, 2 hours, 53 minutes until the next Fed meeting. So a lot can happen between now
True.
and then. And I mean, talking about a lot happening, Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. Look at this. I mean, Bitcoin has been trading somewhere around the 30,000 level pretty much all summer. And then last night, a huge sell off. I mean, this is from where we go. If we go to a 5 minute chart here, we went from 29,000, 28,600 to 26,000 in no time here. That was a little bit of a surprise.
Was it really because of Elon?
That's what everybody says. I mean, everybody is searching for a reason, trying to figure out why. Why did it slide? And I mean, the only thing that traders could find is news from Elon.
Yeah, I guess the Wall Street Journal did a review of Elon Musk's SpaceX finances, and it said the company wrote down the value of its Bitcoin holdings by a total of 373 million in 2022 and also 2021, and it sold the cryptocurrency. And so this kind of goes against what Elon Musk said 2 years ago. In 2021, he said, "If the price of Bitcoin goes down, I lose money. I might pump, but I don't dump."
Ah. Hey, wasn't it the same where he said, "Hey, I'm done selling Tesla stock" a couple of years ago, and then he dumped more
Yeah.
Tesla stock?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think let's take this with a grain of salt. Okay, one more thing before we look at our existing positions. We had a couple of companies reporting earnings here this morning. We had Applied Materials reporting earnings better than expected, jumping 2.3% this morning.
Yeah, not too shabby there for AMAT, and looks like traders like that news.
Yeah. And then another retailer. So we had, what is the symbol for Ross stores? I thought it was RST.
ROST.
ROST. There we go. ROST. So Ross stores, retailers have been reporting this week. We had Walmart reporting, we had Target reporting, we had a few other retailers reporting, and Ross stores, ROST, the ticker, and they are up 6.2% this morning.
Yeah, not too shabby there. They had a revenue beat, also an earnings beat, and they raised their forecast as well. So investors really liking the earnings for Ross, and the stock showing it.
All right. Let's talk about our position and see how they are doing here this morning. So, first of all, talking about ALB. ALB, that's where I got a sign at 192.50. You got a sign at 190. You were able to sell calls earlier this week. I have not been able to sell calls just yet.
Yeah, I was able to sell calls, bring down my break even a little bit. Those I was unable to close those yesterday, so I'm letting those expire worthless. Looking for a nice pop on Monday to sell calls again, and this one pulling back a little bit from the 190, 192.50 level where we had some short term support. Longer term support, where looking at the chart, this pullback is within the the confines of a bigger support play. So
Yeah.
I think that this is looking great.
Yeah, and we talked about it all week. So there were opportunities to sell the 175 put or the
Yeah.
172.50 put today. So that is still great. We see that there's some super short-term support over the last few days at around 180 that we see here. So yeah, also looking for a pop there on Monday, and then hopefully being able to sell calls. CSIQ, another one. Geez, just keep sliding. Come on, buddy, pull up.
Another one. This one again, big picture. This move pull back towards 30 is definitely something that I would expect could happen. Did I expect it to happen so quickly? No.
Nope.
But hey, we have earnings next week.
We have earnings next week, and
What
we
about?
looked at the earnings analysis yesterday. It seems that his history is in our favor because over the last 12 quarters, after reporting earnings, they were higher 10 times out of 12 times after 7 days. And on average, it's 10%. So this should push us right back into the low 30s here in call selling territory. So let's see what happens there.
Yep.
All right, but right now not being able to sell calls. DFS Discover, this is where I took the trade after the news that the CEO resigned and Discover was falling. I sold the 90 put and was able to buy it back yesterday for 90% of max profit. So this trade for me is closed. And today DFS is popping up again. So up 1.5%, a little bit against the grain of the market today that is kind of undecided. So I like this trade, short 3-day trade, and I'm out of this one.
Yeah, that's a nice one on the overreaction there and the stock holding up at strong support. I think it's a great example of sometimes you get in that extra premium because of some news that's a little bit overdone.
Yeah. NEE, another energy company, very similar here to ALB, finding some support right here at around 67, 67.50. So we got assigned at 69.50, and I have not been able to sell calls just yet. But with the pop today, I mean, we're up 0.7%. We could take a quick look if there is some premium available for next week. Kind of don't think so at the 69.50. Oh, it's actually not bad. It's 30 by 40 cents. We need a minimum of 46 cents. So with a little bit of more of a pop, we might be here in call selling territory.
It's getting close. It's getting close.
All right.
Also, a nice dividend if we're still holding it in 2 weeks. Goes ex dividend on Tuesday, August 29th, and that would be a 47-cent dividend.
Nice. All right. I'll take this. All right. And then we have PNC. PNC, a little bit all over the place this morning, pulling higher, still down 0.1%, but has been trading higher. We'll see what happens here. Seems that it has found some short-term support here at 122. So this is where my cost basis is at 141.50. So we definitely need to move a little bit higher. Your cost basis is a little bit lower, but you also need to see a little bit of a pop here.
Yeah, I'm at 136, and my break even is I think at 131. I'd have to check, but yeah, I like that it's holding up its support here. Getting caught up with some of the bank stuff going on, and we just have to wait on this one.
Yeah. And then UPS, that is a trade that you took on the same day that I took my DFS trade. UPS, you sold the 170 put. And, well, yesterday, this morning, it looked like you might get assigned.
Yeah, I was actually getting excited. I think 170 for UPS is a decent level with the chart that we see here. And we opened up at 169.81, so those puts went in the money. But little rally today, UPS up almost what is it, a half of a percent,
Half a
but that
percent.
puts us at 171.70.
Yeah, so, I mean, you might not get assigned here.
Doesn't look like it.
We'll see. So, I mean, overall, if you look at the markets today and what's happening, it's a whole bunch of nothing. So, markets opened lower. We're just diddling around right now, pushing a little bit higher towards yesterday's closing price. The Dow is already positive for the day, up 0.1%. The S&P 500 is down 0.1%. The Nasdaq still hit the hardest here, down 0.5%, but also trying to make its way up. So we'll see what happens today. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on NEE as a possibility for being able to sell calls against my existing position.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan for the day, and we'll see where we end up and if we get a bit of a bounce next week. What do you think, Marcus? Do you think there's going to be some buying or more selling?
I believe that there's some buying coming in, but we can also take a look ahead at the economic calendar and see what's in store next week. And there is not too much. We have a bunch of Fed members speaking again. So we have Bauman
Yeah.
speaking, Goldsby speaking. So they have a lot of things to say. Harker speaking a few times. And then even on Friday, we have Powell speaking. Other than this, a fairly quiet week on the economic calendar, because we only have the flash manufacturing PMI, which I don't think will send the markets into a tailspin. We have on Friday the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. That usually includes some inflation expectations. So this might be something that's moving the markets. But also, if you look at the economic calendar, so let's just go there for a moment, we see that next week it's fairly light. I mean, in terms of most anticipated stocks, we only have 15 reporting next week. So looking a little bit ahead, we have Lowe's, Zoom reporting, we have ADI reporting, Nvidia, Dollar Tree into it. But these are not really the market movers because with retail out of the way this week, maybe Nvidia, who knows?
Yeah, looking ahead next week, not a whole lot going on, like you mentioned. Maybe some little things that could move, but the S&P is down 4.9% for the month. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of buying, and then the week after things pick up because we get into more jobs and inflation data. So next week a little bit of a lull in the data, and then things pick up again the week after.
So, and often what we see is when the S&P broke through the 50-day moving average, that we see kind of a V-shaped recovery. Even here, we saw a V-shaped recovery. So, do you think that next week the S&P 500 can be above the 50-day moving average again?
I I, I think it's going to take 2 weeks.
I
But
agree. I say
I
next
think
week, not yet. Next week will
yeah.
remain, but yeah, I agree. I agree that possibly by the end of the month we could be close or above the 50-day moving average again.
Ooh, I wish we didn't feel the same way because I would have bet you a box of ribeyes
I
or
know.
fillets.
We'll find another bet that we can take. Anyhow, hey, if you find this helpful, leave a comment and leave a like. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing because we're going live, as you can see, every day, talking about the markets, our trade, what's moving the markets, and also what we are planning to do with our position. So if you're enjoying this, give us a like, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
Happy trading, everybody.